All right, think we can get this started. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us for the Rustic Pathways South Pacific online information session today. We're really excited to tell you all about our favorite part of the world, the South Pacific, and the amazing programs that we offer in Australia and Fiji. And I want to introduce everyone that's going to be on this call today. And we'll also be recording this call if you either have to leave early or only can tune in for a certain amount of time, and we'll send that out to everyone after. So my name's Emily Harney. I'm a global program advisor with Rustic Pathways. On this call today, we also have Evan Wells. He's the country director of Fiji. Evan is born in New Zealand, but spends his time living in Australia now, and he also spends a large amount of time during the year in Fiji, and he is in charge of all of our program operations in Fiji. We also have Sam Murray. He is the Australia country director. Sam's a true blue Aussie, born and raised in South Australia, currently lives with his family in Victoria. We also have Maggie Lentz on the call. Maggie has ran our programs in Fiji, Australia, and New Zealand, and she's also a global program advisor. Maggie and I spend our days speaking with families about the best program fit for their students, answering all of their questions that they have. So if you have additional questions after this, you can call our 800 number and reach me and Maggie anytime, and email us at emily@rusticpathways.com and maggie@rusticpathways.com, and we'd love to help you out. Maggie's going to be answering any questions that anybody has if you write them into the questions box. Any questions that are very specific about how many girls and how many boys enrolled on a certain program and stuff like that, we actually aren't going to be able to answer those types of questions today. But if you want to call us or send us those questions via email after this presentation, we're more than happy to go through all of those with you and answer any of your questions. So before I get started with the presentation, I want to send out a couple of quick polls just to see who we have on the call today. The first poll I'll send out is, have you already registered for a program? So if you just want to click on yes or not yet, we'll get a better idea of who's on the call with us today. Great, so it looks like a large percentage of people on the call are not yet registered. So we're very happy to, let you know all about Rustic Pathways. We're also going to talk about all the program offerings that we have in Australia, and Sam's gonna be sharing that with you guys. We're gonna talk about all of our program offerings in Fiji, which Evan Wells will be talking to you guys about. And then we'll close with some more general enrollment questions and general Rustic Pathways information. And then we will close with your questions. So we will actually also ask you guys really quick, have you ever traveled with Rustic Pathways before? Awesome. So it looks like 100% of everyone on this call has not traveled with Rustic Pathways before. So you might be enrolled already and you might be, interested in enrolling soon, but none of you have traveled with us before, so that's great. Look forward to telling you all about our programs. So Rustic Pathways offers 97 programs across 19 different countries. We truly offer amazing options for every type of traveler. And you can see on this map all of the different countries that we run programs in. Today we're going to talk about my favorite part of the world, the South Pacific, Australia, Fiji, and New Zealand programs. At Rustic Pathways, we empower students through innovative and responsible travel experiences to positively impact lives and communities around the world. And I can truly see the positive differences that we've made in the lives of the communities we serve in my 10 years experience working with Rustic Pathways. Around 80% of our programs involve some type of community service, and that's between 8 and 70 hours. Our service projects are purposeful, they're meaningful, they're impactful, and they're rewarding. They have the ability to not only transform the lives of the people in the communities we serve, but the lives of our student travelers. Who we are. Rustic Pathways full-time staff are exceptional, experienced, educated, well-traveled, and serve as role models for our students. Whether local or international staff, we all have extensive experience working with high school students. On every program, students are taught about the history, traditions, religions, languages, food, and lifestyles of the locals by somebody of that culture. Students get to experience what it's like to live like a local on Rustic Pathways programs, which is a priceless experience for our students. We partner with well-established local organizations, which have incredible positive impacts on the communities we serve. So here we've listed some of our local partners in our Fiji and Australia programs. So we work with the Golden Age Home in Fiji. We partner with Australia Zoo and the Sunshine Coast Council in Australia, particularly for community service programs, so that we can have the most positive impact possible in these communities. Rustic Pathways students are eager to see the world, motivated to make a difference, excited to meet new people, make new friends, and passionate about learning about other cultures and how they live around the world. If this is you, we hope you can join us. Students are also able to choose Rustic Pathways programs based on their interests they want to pursue as potential future career paths. So we offer educational programs where students can work with children. We offer programs that focus on building and rebuilding infrastructure projects. We have community health programs that offer students the opportunity to get wilderness first aid certifications. We offer environmental programs such as marine service and adventure in Fiji, where students get to learn about the environment and local ecosystems. And our social development projects either focus on, projects where we work with students with special needs, or we have programs where students are able to visit and help out in orphanages around the world. And we offer animal welfare programs and animal conservation programs, such as the Minke Whale Research Expedition in Australia and Uluru and Australia Zoo, also in Australia. So why South Pacific? Because it's my favorite part of the world, and once you've been here, it'll be yours too. But also because we're experts in the South Pacific. Rustic Pathways actually started programs in 1983 in Australia, and Fiji was the second program destination we ever had. So we have been to the best places. We are deeply established in all of the communities we serve in these two countries for 25 plus years. It's also easy for students to develop connections with the local people in Fiji and Australia, as there's no language barrier. We also offer a wide variety of programs throughout Australia and Fiji that suit all types of travelers, whether that's a first-time traveler that's wanting to go to one of our base house programs, to seasonal veteran travelers interested in expanding their horizons to participate in some of our programs that visit remote locations, and anything in between. Also, South Pacific programs range from 0 to 60 hours of community service and lots of outdoor adventure activities packed in along the way. So right now I'm going to hand it over to Sam Murray to talk about his programs in Australia. And after that, Sam will hand it over to Evan, who will talk about his programs in Fiji. And both of them have way better accents than I do. So pass it over to them.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Emily. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name's Sam. I'm the Country Director for Australia at Rustic Pathways. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm so excited that you're interested in travelling down to this part of the world. I live down in Australia year-round. I'm currently near Melbourne, down in the southern part of Australia. We're actually a day ahead of you guys. Well, if you're joining us from the USA this evening, we're a day ahead. It's Thursday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon down here. Yeah, I can tell you that Thursday is looking like it's going to be a great day for you all when you get there tomorrow. So this is my 8th year with Rustic full-time, and over the last 7 years I've been involved in developing and refining the programs. I think that 2016 is the most exciting year that we've had for Rustic Pathways in regards to the program range and offerings for open enrolment programs. Over the next 15 minutes, I'll give you a brief overview of what each program offers, and then I'll be around for questions at the end. But before I start talking about specific programs, and the Golden Sands one that you can see on screen will be the first program, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of how the logistics in the summer work. So our programs in Australia start and finish in Brisbane. Students who are travelling from the USA will travel together on a group flight from Los Angeles and fly directly down to Brisbane, leaving LA on a Tuesday, travelling forward in time across the date line, and then arriving into Brisbane on a Thursday. If you're residing outside of the USA, you'll make your own way down to Brisbane, and the groups sort of meet at Brisbane Airport. Once everyone's arrived, you'll meet our team of leaders on the ground, which is a combination of international staff and local Australian program leaders. We'll split you up into your different programs, start getting to know everyone, and then you'll head off in your program groups and begin your journey. So there's 8 different programs that you could join in Australia this season, and the first program, Golden Sands Helping Hands, is an introductory experience to Australia. It's one of our 1-week programs, so on the ground it runs for 7 days and 6 nights. And this program is perfect for students who are looking for a 1-week program that gives you an action-packed experience in Australia. It combines service, touring, and adventure. It's located on the Sunshine Coast, which is about an hour north of Brisbane in Queensland, on the eastern side of the country. And through this program, students are typically staying in a base house. It's a large beach house near the beach, and you'll be based out of there doing day trips to the different sites and locations. Travelling together with a group of about 12 to 15 students and 3 program leaders, experiencing everything that part of Australia has to offer, including encounters with the local wildlife, heading out to a farm to experience life on an Aussie farm and meet some of the characters out there, doing some volunteer work at a primary school, elementary school, experiencing Brisbane, and having a really amazing social time as well. The next program that we offer is called the Awesome Aussie Service Adventure. This is a 14-day program in Australia, and it's essentially an extension of what we offer on the Golden Sands. So for students who are able to stay a little bit longer in Australia, this is a 2-week trip. It's our most popular program and gives students a really well-rounded experience. It's really perfect for students who like the idea of staying in one of our base houses and sort of want to be based in Australia without having to fly to other parts of the country while still experiencing sort of the best of what Australia offers. This program stays at 4 different locations through the 2 weeks. For a few days you'll be staying at our Glasshouse Mountains base, where you'll be in bunk rooms in a large house which is on a 50-acre property nestled in amongst the bushland, with cockatoos and birds and views across the mountains, sort of in the rainforest. And from that location, you'll do a range of activities, visiting Steve Irwin Zoo, doing some primary school service, having a day with some local farmers, and then you'll head out to our farm stay, where you'll spend a couple of nights staying out on our farm, doing a whole range of activities there. You'll then head to the beach house, where you'll spend about 4 nights staying right by the beach at a large beach house. And while you're there, you'll be focused on aquatic activities like learning how to surf. There's a series of surf lessons that we run. You'll be involved with some wakeboarding and water skiing, and some other service work, including working with special needs students and doing some more elementary school service. And then the next location that the program goes to is North Stradbroke Island, which is off the coast of Brisbane. It's a beautiful island with magnificent coastline. You'll camp out there on the island. There's a whole range of experiences that we offer out there, including some marine mammal research, where you head out on a boat to do some whale observations of the humpback whales, and then some indigenous cultural experiences as well. The next program is the Aru and Australia Zoo program, and this is ideal for students who are really looking to move into further study with wildlife, or have a real passion for conservation. Anybody who's looking for experience in veterinary science, or sort of wants to learn what the reality is like for people working in zoos. This is a unique experience where you'll have an inside view of one of the most celebrated zoos around the world. Steve Irwin, who I'm sure you all know, or if you're too young to know Steve, you most likely know his daughter India. And this program, you'll be involved in educational workshops to learn what it takes to run a zoo like this, and then you'll be involved with group volunteer tasks, where you'll be placed in the enclosures to work with the zookeepers and help out with a whole range of different tasks. It's not a program where you just go and feed the kangaroos and pat the wombats like you can see in the photos there. You will have a real hands-on responsibility, which is generally not always the most glamorous side of zookeeping. While working with animals sounds like a fun experience the whole time, which it is, it also involves changing food and cleaning enclosures and getting a little bit dirty to help out with the maintenance of the zoo. So there's a whole lot of experiences packed into that program that will give students a really unique insight into wildlife caring. The next program is the 7 Wonders of Australia program. Again, this is one of our more popular programs, and it takes students to some of the more well-known destinations in Australia. It starts in Brisbane and then flies up to Cairns, which is the gateway to the Great Barrier Reef up in far north Queensland. You'll spend some time around Cairns, go out to the reef, visit the Daintree rainforest, which is one of the world's oldest rainforests, do some wildlife service up there, and learn about conservation issues and environmental issues that are faced by the Great Barrier Reef and in the rainforest. You'll then fly down to the centre of Australia, so pretty much right in the centre of Australia is where you'll find Uluru, Ayers Rock, and you'll have a phase of the program where you'll be travelling through the central deserts through in a 4-wheel drive to visit Uluru, Kings Canyon, Alice Springs, and a number of the other Outback locations. The program then continues on to Sydney, so another internal flight down to Sydney, where you'll have a few days around Sydney and get involved in some community service work, as well as experiencing one of Australia's most famous cities. So this program is ideal for students who enjoy travelling a lot. The program really moves location every few days, so there's only, I think that the longest that you'd stay in one location is probably 2 nights, So for students considering this program, you do live out of a bag for pretty much the 2 weeks, and you're on the go a lot. But for people that are looking to see, the real highlights of the well-known parts of Australia in 2 weeks, this packs nearly everything into that trip. The next program is the Epic Outback program, and this is a program based in the remote northwestern corner of Australia, up in the Kimberley area. It's a program that focuses on community service work with Australia's Aboriginal people, as well as four-wheel driving, camping, and getting sort of right out into the rugged wilderness of Australia. This is sort of how Rustic Pathways was founded. Well, we didn't cover the history of Rustic too much on this call. Back in 1983 was when Rustic Pathways first started, and the first tours that the company ran were four-wheel drive tours across the top end of Australia through this part of the country. So yeah, we've got some wonderful connections up there with Aboriginal communities, with people that live and work and manage on 1 million acre cattle properties. There's some remarkable natural environments to visit, including Cathedral Gorge there in the Bungle Ranges, which is where you can see the group sitting in awe of the cliffs and the pool. It is a camping-based program where you'll be staying in Australian tent beds called swags, which are like a sort of a large canvas sleeping bag with a really thick mattress in it and some poles to sort of turn it into your own personal tent. So for students who are looking to get off the beaten track, away from the cities, and into sort of the lesser seen parts of Australia and have a really rustic, wilderness experience, this is definitely the program that would tick those boxes for you. The next program, Island Survival, this is a really exciting new program that's come into our mix this year, and we'll be taking students out to a remote island that is located 80 nautical miles off the coast. The name of the island is just Rustic Island, and you will be in a very remote location for a period of 7 to 10 days. This island is, we're going to sort of run a survivor type experience for students, and you'll travel by a barge to get out to the island. It's a 6-hour boat ride to get out to the island. The boat will then drop you off on the island, and whatever we have with us at that point will be the only supplies that we have to last us for 7 to 10 days until the barge comes back and picks us up. You cannot see any other land on the island. You can walk around the island in about an hour and a half. It's a coral cay, it's sand-fringed island the whole way around, and there's no other land that's visible. There's no mobile phone reception out there. There's no facilities on the island other than some toilet blocks. So it is a true wilderness experience in a remarkable part of Australia. It's part of the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park, and yeah, the water around there is teeming with marine life and coral reef. So students will be broken up into teams. We'll probably have teams of 8, and each team will sort of establish its own base camp on the island, and then there'll be a series of survival competitions, some instruction and from survival experts, and teams will sort of compete against each other through a series of challenges to acquire food rations and to get different perks and bonuses through the course of the week. So we're really excited about that trip. If you've ever seen the survivor type programs on TV and thought that you could do that, then this is your chance to see whether you've got what it takes. The next program is the Minke Whale Expedition. We're running one session of that this year, where students will be involved in a liveaboard dive boat. They'll head out to the outer Great Barrier Reef on a 4-day expedition in search of dwarf minke whales. We have marine biologists on board, as well as researchers from James Cook University, and students and staff get involved in recording data on the observations they make while having close encounters with the minke whales. That data is then fed back into the university into an ongoing project on managing ecotourism. So this program is ideal for students who have a passion for marine biology, but also have a keen interest in doing scuba diving. You do need to be a certified scuba diver to come on this program. There isn't the option to learn to dive through this trip, but snorkeling on this program is possible with the whales, and all the interactions with the whales is through snorkeling. But the dive sites that we go to don't lend themselves too well to snorkeling. So scuba certification is a requirement, and through the course of the trip, students will do up to 12 scuba dives, including some night dives, in addition to having snorkel encounters with the minke whales. And to give you an example of how close you can get to the whales on this program, we had a number of students last year who were sort of touched by the whales. Their dorsal fins or side fins would sort of brush past them as the whales were cruising past. So it is really one of the most amazing wildlife encounters in the world. You can get really close to these magnificent creatures. The next program, the Steve Irwin Wildlife Reserve Project, this is for college students. So for students who are graduating high school in May, June this year, this is available to you. Or if you've already done 1 or more years of college, this is available as well. And it's perfect for students who have a really keen interest in environmental conservation or environmental science. You'll be working with researchers and park rangers up in the wildlife reserve. It's a huge piece of land in far northern tip of Australia that was handed across to the Irwin family by the Australian government as a legacy for Steve Irwin, and in conjunction with Wildlife Warriors and Australia Zoo, the property is managed. We have the opportunity to be involved with helping the rangers out there. So there'll be service projects that the students will be getting involved in, such as the development of the facilities, invasive species removal, recording data on the different types of flora and fauna that are being managed in the park, and lots of sort of close encounters with wildlife, but not close encounters with the crocodiles. You will see some crocodiles at times, but we're not going to be doing the croc wrestling that Steve Irwin was famous for. So that program's a 2-week program. It goes to a fairly remote part of Australia. As I said, I'll be available towards the end of this if you've got any questions. Thank you for listening about the Australia offerings.
Thanks, Sam. This is Evan Wells speaking now. I'm the Country Director for Fiji and New Zealand. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Hopefully you've enjoyed hearing all about the Australian trips, and now we'll talk a little bit about Fiji and New Zealand. A little bit about myself to begin with. I have been involved with Rustic Pathways for a little bit over 20 years now. When I started, as Sam said, we were just running trips in Australia. So one of my first assignments was to develop programs in New Zealand and Fiji. And then I continued to be involved with opening up a lot of the other countries that we now go to, but always retained my love for the South Pacific, and wanted to continue to be involved with our programs down in this part of the world. So I live in Australia now, as Emily said, but still spend a lot of my time in Fiji and New Zealand, and you know, love showing students this part of the world. So just some general points about traveling to Fiji if you're interested in our programs down here. If you're coming from the US, we have weekly departures out of Los Angeles. It's a direct flight from LA down to Nandi. It takes about 10 hours. The flights leave Los Angeles on a Tuesday evening. You get a good night's sleep, and when you land in Fiji, it's actually Thursday morning. We cross the international date line, so you lose a day on the way down. You get it back on the way home, but basically, hopefully wake up refreshed and energized on a Thursday morning, ready to get into your programs. Our trips or our flights home leave Nandi on a Wednesday night. So regardless of whether you're doing a 1, 2 or 3 week program, you always depart Fiji on a Wednesday night and land back in Los Angeles on Wednesday afternoon. So as I said, we've been in operation in Fiji for a little bit over 20 years now. We are the largest student travel provider in Fiji. We have a team of about 12 full-time staff down there, and then during the height of our programs during June, July and August, we have a team of up to 60 or 70 local staff, plus a team of overseas staff that we bring in as program leaders to work alongside our local team. As you can imagine, having operated in Fiji for the length of time that we have, we've got some wonderful local relationships, some really strong relationships with local communities, local villages, and most of our programs down there, regardless of whether they're a service trip or an adventure program, offer a really close and intimate exposure to the Fijian way of life. And the Fijian culture, which if you read any guidebook or article on Fiji, they always emphasize the fact that Fijians are commonly referred to as the friendliest people in the world, and that's certainly been my experience over the years. The other thing I just want to touch on before we get into our programs is a recent event that I imagine many of you may have seen through the media and may have questions about, and that is Cyclone Winston that came through Fiji on the weekend. This was a major storm. It's been billed as the largest cyclone the Southern Hemisphere has ever seen, and it certainly has done a lot of damage to Fiji. Our team on the ground is still in the process, basically, of assessing the impact to our operations. Thankfully, the major areas that we go to haven't been badly affected, and we actually have 2 programs running in Fiji at the moment, so their trip is running as normal. But we are still assessing the impact to some of our outer lying communities, and over the coming days that'll become clearer to us. But at this stage, I'm anticipating that our summer programs will run as normal. Cyclones are not unusual in the South Pacific. A big one normally comes through every 2-3 years, and I'm expecting the country to bounce back pretty quickly. But I'm sure you've seen articles or reports on the news, and we'll be sending out updates to students who are on programs in the coming days as we get more news. So let's move on to our programs. The first trip I want to talk about is our Intro to Community Service program. This is a 9-day trip from the US. And this program is a great trip for students who are perhaps first-time travellers, or they're looking for a shorter program. It's also really popular as an add-on to any of our Australian programs. And one of the great things about the South Pacific is that you can do one or two or three programs. You can add them together and get totally unique experiences, even though you're just staying in the one region of the world. So our Intro to Service trips are a popular add-on if you're considering doing both Australia and Fiji. This is a resident program, so the students stay at our main base, which is located at Mommy Bay. This base has been established for about 12 years. Basically, it's a private hotel just for our students, situated on about 14 acres. Students stay in dormitory-style rooms, or as we refer to them in Fiji, bures. It's a pretty comfortable program in comparison to some of our trips that get further out into remoter areas. So students have bunk beds, flush toilets, solar-powered showers. There's a swimming pool, sports grounds. So it's a great location to stay and to come back to each day after you've done your service projects through the day. The service work that we do on this program is focused on the schools that we have relationships with in the Mommy area, and also building work that we do, which can be a combination of work in the local villages. One village in particular, we're building toilets and septic systems in the village itself, which is a significant project that's been underway for several years already. So this is a great trip to just give kids a general overview of a range of service projects, some of them very hands-on in terms of the work itself, and then other projects working with students in the classrooms. We also do a very popular project called the Meal Program, where students learn how to cook local meals, and then we take them into the needy members of the community that are around our base. The next program that I want to talk about is our Sun, Sand and Service trip. This is a very popular program, one of the most popular programs worldwide for Rustic Pathways. This is a 2-week trip. Students again reside at our base at Mommy Bay, and this is essentially an extended version of our Intro to Service program. So it's for students who are interested in staying in Fiji a little bit longer. It gives you a wide range of service initiatives to be involved in. So every day there's something different. And then with this program, students have the opportunity on the second week of the program to do a weekend side trip as well, which gives them the chance to do a little bit of additional touring and see another part of Fiji as a break from the service work that they're doing over the course of the 2 weeks. On both the intro and the Sun, Sand and Service program, in conjunction with the service work, there's some really cool activities and touring. So the students get the opportunity to go out to the historical gun sites, which you can see a photo of there on the slide. They go to the mud pools. They get down to the beaches. So they certainly get the opportunity to do quite a bit of sightseeing and get a feel for Fiji beyond the service work as well. With this trip, students are certainly getting a deeper level of immersion. So certainly if a student's interested in community service as their primary goal on a program, this is a good program to look at. The third program I want to talk about tonight is our Escape to Fiji program. This is also a one-week trip, or 9 days from the US with travel time. This is another really popular add-on program. So again, if you were considering doing Australia and Fiji, you wanted to just do a little bit of sightseeing in Fiji over the course of a week, this is a great program to consider. Also, if you were wanting to do a service program and then do a little bit of touring afterwards, again, you can add this on as an additional week after a more service-focused program. So this trip is purely touring. Over the course of the week, students will get the chance to visit hot pools, stay up in the mountains at a location which has the largest waterfall on the western side of Viti Levu, which is just spectacular and isn't generally accessed by tourists. It's a really good example of one of the opportunities that we are fortunate to have because of the personal relationships we have with some of the locals. There's also the chance to go zip lining, island hopping, and then the last couple of days the group will stay out on one of the offshore islands to get some cool island time with obviously swimming, kayaking, snorkeling, and a bit of beach time as well. So it's a cool trip, exciting, but also a fun way to finish a longer program or a multi-country program in the South Pacific if you're interested. The next program is our Big Fiji Explorer. Again, this is an extremely popular program for us, one of the most popular programs worldwide. This program we've been running for over 20 years, and for me it's still one of our favorite trips in our whole product mix. If you are interested in coming and seeing Fiji, if you're interested in touring, if you've got an adventurous mindset, this is definitely a program you want to consider. The trip itself spends time at our Somo Island base. So our island base is again a private location that only our students use. It's located on a 6 acres of land on an island called Naviti Island, which is in a chain of islands called the Yasawas. This is a very popular tourist area with a number of backpacker resorts and 5-star resorts located throughout the chain, but we have our own private location and a really cool relationship with the village of Somo. So this is an area where we do kayaking, snorkeling. The groups have the opportunity to swim with manta rays if the manta rays are inclined to hang out. And just a wonderful remote location. It's really what everyone imagines Fiji to be. It's the white sand beach, the swaying palm trees, the warm blue water. So that's a great place to start this trip. Beyond that, the groups also spend time up in the Highlands, so they go to the remote waterfall location as well, spend a couple of days up there, and then they carry on to the Coral Coast and Pacific Harbour, which is the southern area of Viti Levu. And while they're doing that second week, there's activities like whitewater rafting, zip lining, kayaking, island hopping, and on both the Escape program and the Big Fiji program, students have the opportunity to do a add-on skydive as well. So there aren't too many places in the world where you get the chance to jump out of a plane at 14,000 feet over the beautiful South Pacific waters, but Fiji is one of them. And on both these adventure trips, students have the opportunity to do that if they wish, and their parents give them permission to, obviously. So with the Big Fiji trip, there's a little bit of service involved when the groups are up in Somo. So you do get village time. You are able to get a good taste of what the culture of Fiji is like, but it's not a major element of that trip. So, the next program that we'll talk about is our Pacific Adrenaline trip. And this, in essence, is our 3-week adventure program. So we have our escape trip as a 1-week option, Big Fiji is a 2-week option, and Pacific Adrenaline is our 3-week program. This trip combines 2 weeks in Fiji with 1 week in the North Island of New Zealand. This is the trip for adrenaline junkies. It'll give you the opportunity to see a lot of Fiji and then also get a really good taste of what the North Island of New Zealand is like. One important thing to remember with this program, if you're considering it, is the weather in Fiji is nice and warm. The weather in New Zealand is going to be cold. So one thing to remember with the South Pacific is that whilst you're traveling during the northern hemisphere's summer, it's actually winter for us. It doesn't matter too much in Fiji because you're in a tropical climate and it's shorts and t-shirts all the way, but in New Zealand you definitely want to pack for cooler weather. So another important thing to note with this trip is that depending on the departure date you're looking to do, that will determine whether you go to New Zealand first or whether you go to Fiji first. So just be sensitive to that as you're considering which date to choose. The time in New Zealand involves some really cool activities like blackwater caving, where you go into subterranean caves to look at glowworms and squeeze through really tight rock formations and float down underground waterways on big tire tubes. You'll get the chance to see some kiwis, which are the national birds of New Zealand. Quite rare these days, but you'll get a chance to see some of those in captivity. And then we do some really unique activities like zorbing. You get the chance to try the agrojet, sweeping, swooping. So these are activities that are really fun to do. There aren't very many other places in the world you can do them, and they're a great buzz with a group of friends as you're cruising around New Zealand. In addition to those unique activities, you'll also have a chance to go whitewater rafting. We do the Kaituna River, which you'll see a photo there on the left-hand side. This actual trip is famous because it's the highest commercially rafted drop that you can do anywhere in the world. So that's quite a rush as you go over that fall there. Moving on to Fiji, you'll get basically 2 weeks of high adventure and touring through the Fiji Islands. We do activities like kayaking, whitewater rafting. This trip goes up to Taveuni, an island called Taveuni, which is the 3rd largest island in Fiji. It's known as the Garden Island. A beautiful, beautiful location, spectacular waterfalls, glorious coastal hikes. It's also one of the few places in the world where you can stand on the international date line. So you can have 1 foot in today and 1 foot in yesterday. So a really cool photo opportunity with that. Group will also do zip lining, and the trip concludes up at our island base in Somo for a few days of island time. Again, snorkeling, kayaking, time with the locals, and the opportunity to swim with manta rays. So if you're an adrenaline junkie, that's definitely the trip you'll want to consider. The next program is our dive trip. This program, we're getting into sort of the more specific programs now. So diving obviously is for students who have an interest in either gaining their certification, or if they're certified, upgrading their certification, or just having a really cool week of diving the waters in Fiji. This trip stays at our base in Mommy for the whole week. You'll complete up to 8 dives, and then in conjunction with the dives is some touring around the local area. This is a very cool program if you are a diver. I actually got my dive certification many years ago with the company that we still use to this day. One of the lead guides is a guy called Scuba Sam. He used to dive with Jacques Cousteau, grew up in one of the villages near us. Very cool guy, very accomplished, and the area that we dive around Mommy Bay has some of the highest recorded fish counts in all of Fiji. So you almost always see sharks, turtles, manta rays. Last year we even had a group see a couple of whales that came through just by chance on the week that we had a group there. So awesome diving, really wonderful way to see the underwater world of Fiji. The next program is our marine trip. So Marine Service and Adventure. This is a more focused program for students who have an interest in marine biology or the underwater world, students who are scuba divers but want to get a bit more out of their trip. This trip spends time up in the Yasawa Islands. We work with a dive company up there, and we also have a marine reserve that we've set up in conjunction with our island base. So while the students are up there, they're involved with doing such activities like fish counts, mangrove planting, building coral gardens, harvesting crown of thorn starfish. They also have the opportunity to swim with the manta rays. We have a giant clam nursery that we've established, so groups will continue the ongoing work with the giant clams. So it's definitely a trip that students spend a lot of time in and on the water, and you know, if that's of interest to you, then you know, I would encourage you to consider that program. The second week of that trip takes us to another area of Fiji over on the eastern side of Viti Levu. We go to an area known as Takalana Bay. This is where there's a large pod of spinner dolphins that have resided in the area for, it's reputed to have been for centuries. So we spend time with the spinner dolphins. Students will have the opportunity to do a shark dive as an add-on activity if they wish, and then we also get involved in some coastal kayaking and visit a local eco park to learn more about the local flora and fauna. So this is a specialized trip, but certainly for students who are interested in marine life or diving, it's a great program to consider. The final trip that I want to talk about tonight is our Highlands and Islands service immersion. This trip is a very deep immersion into the Fijian culture. The main focus of the program is around a village called Nasivikoso, and this is a village that we've had a relationship with for over 20 years. It was one of the first villages that I went to when I first arrived in Fiji. So we've continued our relationship with this village over more than 2 decades now. Students who are on this program have the opportunity to do a homestay with families within the village. So you get a wonderful exposure into the day-to-day life of the Fijian people, and this is an opportunity that not many tourists genuinely have a chance to do. The main project that we're working on with Nasivikoso is building the primary school for the village. And I could talk for hours on this project. It's one of the great projects that I think Rustic Pathways does. We've been building the school for about 4 years now. So there's a number of classrooms that have been built. They now have an enrollment of about 150 students, and before the school started, the village kids had to hike about 6 kilometers to a neighboring village and stay in that village for the week to attend school. So even the kids as young as 1st and 2nd grade had to do that. So this is a great project to be a part of. The village is extremely appreciative of our efforts over the years, and our students in turn receive a wonderful welcome and a very hospitable experience when they stay in the village as part of this program. So the first week of the program essentially is in the village, and then the second week of the program involves 2 other locations. The first location during the second week is a farm that we're working with. So this gives our students the chance to learn about some grassroots farming techniques and get the opportunity to see another part of Fiji. Again, it's a very deep cultural immersion. They are staying as a group during this second phase, but there is still a lot of time with the local community, and students definitely come away feeling as though they've developed a real connection with the people they're involved with. The final stage of this trip affords the opportunity to have a bit of R&R. We go out to one of the island locations, and it's a chance to relax, unwind, get that beach time that everyone is looking for when they're in Fiji, and sort of wind up the trip in that area of the country. So this is a trip that is really aimed at the more seasoned traveller. Students have to be prepared to cope with more remote, rugged conditions. You are staying with local families, so that can mean sleeping in rooms with groups of people from the local community, but you get a real sense of what day-to-day life is like. And for students who are looking for that kind of overseas cultural immersion, this is a great program to consider. So I think that basically concludes all the programs that we've got in Fiji. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that, and feel free if you've got any questions to shoot them across. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Evan, and thanks so much, Sam, for sharing all the information about all of our Fiji and Australia program offerings. I'm sure that all the students and parents listening are getting pretty excited about the different options that they have, or the program that they may already be signed up for. And every student that travels with us, gains something different from the experience. So in my 9 consecutive summers as a program leader in Fiji, Australia, India, Cambodia, and I'm forgetting a country. Fiji, Australia, Cambodia. I'm off to China next month. But anyways, I've seen students gain an increased confidence, leadership skills, open-mindedness, cultural awareness, appreciation for diversity, and they've become motivated to make a difference later on in their lives as a result of participating in a Rustic Pathways program. Also, if you want to talk to any students or parents that have been on a particular program to find out firsthand what their experience was like, please feel free to request more information from us. Send us an email, give us a call, and we can definitely send you references of any parents whose students have participated in particular programs from which you're interested. Also, just one short story I'll share with you guys about a student that I personally had that it really helped her, focus in and choose her career path. So when I was running the Uluru in Australia Zoo program in 2010, I had a student who joined the program because she was pretty interested in working with animals. And, from the beginning of the program, I just really saw how passionate she was about it and really enjoyed the program. I ran that program the consecutive year in 2011, and she actually came back to participate in that program again. So out of 97 programs, it really affected her that much, and she enjoyed it so much that she wanted to come back and do the program again. Australia Zoo thought that was amazing, and they gave her a little bit more responsibility in the different animal departments, and really appreciated the fact that she was there to volunteer again. A year after that, she contacted me for a reference so that she could intern at the aquarium in Vancouver. And then a couple of years after that, which was this past summer, she actually was our staff member on the Uluru and Australia Zoo program. So just wanted to give you that really cool story about the progression of, one of the students that I've had as a student and their experience with Rustic Pathways and just the types of things that our programs can really accomplish and bring to students. So you guys are probably all wondering how it works. So we'll just go into a little bit about where you can find our enrollment form. So this is showing where you can find our enrollment form. So there's a little yellow box that says enroll now. If this is repetitive for people who are already enrolled, I'll go through this quickly. That'll bring you directly to our enrollment form, which you can enroll for there. However, as you guys may know, we're actually waiving the enrollment fee for everyone who attends a webinar. So we'll send out the recording and a link so that you can enroll directly through the link that we send to your email, and you'll actually have the enrollment fee waived completely if you enroll by the 28th of February. So deadlines and availability. The deadline to have, get your enrollment fee waived is February 28th. If you want to enroll after that, there's no deadline except for 1 week prior to the program departure. So if you miss the February 28th deadline to get your enrollment fee waived, you can still enroll later on under the $200 late season enrollment fee, up to 1 week before the departure for the program. So if a program departs on, July 12th, the last day to enroll in that departure would be on July 5th at the end of the day. And definitely feel free to give us a call anytime. We're happy to go through program availability for any programs at any time, what the gender breakdown is, boy-girl ratio, what the ages of students are. If you have like a 14-year-old or an 18-year-old traveling and you want to make sure that they're with a good peer group, we're happy to do that for you. And flights, as Evan and Sam touched on before, to ensure that our programs operate in a safe and orderly manner, Rustic Pathways makes all arrangements for students' international air travel from the time they leave North America until the time they return at the end of their successful adventure. All students depart from and return back to LAX for all Fiji and Australia programs. So if you want to find out more about pricing and what it costs to connect Fiji and Australia programs and the international airfares, you can find that on our website under resources, and then the drop down travel information. So the travel information page will have every single cost and details for all of our international airfares for all programs. So At our Ohio office, we have a team of personal travel advisors. Once enrolled, you'll receive a welcome letter from one of our personal travel advisors within 24 to 48 business hours. Your personal travel advisor will assist you with invoices, medical forms, flights, packing lists, and everything leading up until the student's departure for the program. And before I close this off, I also want to mention our team of global program advisors. So if you still need assistance choosing a program, or if you'd like to ask some questions or discuss program options, dates, availability, please feel free to send us an online chat, to email us at hello@rusticpathways.com, or to call us at 800-321-4353. Maggie and I are both on the team of global program advisors for Rustic Pathways, so we're happy to answer any questions that anybody may have at any time. So right now, I'm going to open it up to everybody to see if you guys have any questions. And you can type them right into the questions box. And again, we won't be able to answer any specific questions about which students are enrolled in which programs and gender breakdowns or anything like that. But if you have any general questions, we're definitely happy to answer those for you now. And while you guys are thinking about your questions, I'm going to just put out a poll just to see if you guys think the webinar was helpful for you. Great. So it looks like some of you still might have some questions, but that is more than okay. We would love to answer your questions and, about any of our programs, whether it's South Pacific, Fiji, Australia, New Zealand, or any of our other programs that we run anywhere in the 19 destinations that we have. Please definitely feel free to let us know. And I'll allow a couple more moments just to see if any questions come through. So please don't hesitate to put in any questions. So there's a question about medical emergencies. So Rustic Pathways has a membership with an organization called International SOS. Every single student and staff member that travels with us gains access to that membership. It's a $69 charge that gets put on everyone's invoice, and that just covers our membership. That provides us with emergency medical evacuation. So we can provide a helicopter when needed if we need to evacuate students for a medical emergency. In the case of minor cuts and bruises, all of our staff members are CPR and first aid certified. If a student ever does need medical attention, we can bring them to medical centers, and depending on the severity of the injury or illness, bring them to the nearest hospital. We overstaff programs so that the staff members can bring the students, to the nearest medical clinic or hospital when needed without a disruption to any of the other students on the program, and they reunite with the program as soon as that issue is resolved. And the parents are provided with updates every step of the way. For the base house in Fiji, is there Wi-Fi and hot water? There's Wi-Fi for staff purposes. So our full-time staff that are operating all of our programs in Fiji have access to that Wi-Fi, to have our operations run smoothly and everything like that. We can't overload the Wi-Fi there with having all of our students that are there. It just wouldn't work properly. But also, we really want our students to gain the most out of their Rustic Pathways experience. So when we do go to town and give them time to shop for souvenirs, they can visit an internet cafe and contact home. but we don't allow students to, use social media or be texting or calling, just so they maximize what they can get out of the experience. There is hot water at the base house in Fiji, and that is solar powered hot water. And someone had a question about how the gap year programs compare to the high school programs. The activities and types of service are very similar. The gap year programs allow students a little bit more freedom. And certain types of gap year programs, we have internship programs, we have rustic road trips, we have semester programs, immersion programs. So there are a bit more different types of gap year programs on offer. And gap year programs are specifically for students 17 to 21, where the high school student programs, students are supervised at all times, and they're specifically for students 14 to 18 in high school or have just graduated. Alrighty, doesn't look like any other questions have come in. So I hope you all enjoyed this online information session. I hope it was helpful, and feel free to reach out with any other questions that come up, and we all hope that you can join us this summer. Thanks everyone, have a great night.